Welcome back, guys. This is Shrikant. In this video, we are going to be learning about the primitive data types in JavaScript. We already looked at the first three primitive data types in our previous video, lecture number 10 in the Complete JavaScript series. So we have already taken a look into number, string, and boolean. In this video, we are going to be learning about the rest of the primitive data types, that is undefined, null, BigInt, and symbol. Okay. So let me start with BigInt and symbol to start with, so that we first get them done and then get into undefined and null. Having said that, undefined and null is going to be the most used ones, but they have a lot to discuss. So we'll first finish off with the BigInt and symbol quickly. Got it? Okay, sounds good. Now, what is BigInt data type, right? In JavaScript, the number type cannot completely represent the integer values. Okay, so it can represent up to a particular range, but beyond that, it won't be able to represent. Now, what do I mean by that? Let's make it simpler, because that is what we do in complete front end, right? So if you take a box, okay, if you take a box, can this box hold everything? That is the question over here, right? Can this box hold everything? It can hold, say this is of length 30 centimeter. Let's just randomly say that this length is 30 centimeter. Okay. And this, let's say, is 5 centimeter. This is a box, a small box. Now, can it hold anything that is bigger than this 30 centimeter, or which is taller than this 5 centimeter? No, right? Similarly, in JavaScript also, variables have a limit. For example, when you call something as the number data type, it says I can hold this much big of a number, but beyond that, I won't be able to hold it. So let's see what kind of number it is and what is the range. So in JavaScript, the number data type can hold a maximum range of 2 to the power of 53 minus 1. Okay, plus or minus 2 to the power of 53 minus 1. So how you can imagine it is 0, 1, 2 goes on till 2 to the power of 53 minus 1. Okay, then goes on the other side, minus 1, minus 2, and then it goes on till minus 2 to the power of 53 minus 1. Okay, plus 1. Got it? This is where it is. Now, what is the meaning of this? It can hold this big of a number, right? It can hold any number between this range. So either this range or this range. This is what the number data type can hold. Number data type range. Okay. This could be a verbal question in any of your interviews. So this is again very important. So I would like you to write things down what I'm telling you here. Please make notes out of it so that you can later refer to it. Okay. Now, to be really precise, so what is this actual number over here? This number is actually 9007199254254 740991. This is the number. Okay. So probably the only place the BigInt will be required is to represent some billionaire's account, right? Okay, jokes apart. So this number ideally is more than enough for any operation that you are performing on a daily basis. Having said that, there could be scenarios where this is not enough for you, and you will have to represent the number with a bigger number. It could be any number of scenarios. Now, coming to my experience, have I ever had to use such a big number in throughout my career working on both enterprise applications and customer facing applications over the last 8 years? I'll be very honest with you, no. I had never had to use it, but that doesn't mean you will never have to use it. There could be a scenario where you will have to use it, and you should know about this data type. Okay. And this range is also very important. This is something that you have to remember. Now let's get to the code and understand this real quickly. So let's get into the code here. Okay. So I'm going to keep commenting out whatever I discussed in the previous lecture so that we can make room for the new lectures over here. Okay, so let's try to represent a number right now, which is going to be the limit of the number that I told you about, right? So let's go to that. Now let's try to represent the last number in the number range. So that is what? 90071992547407991. Okay, largest shape integer in JavaScript. It's already telling you that. Okay, now if I console log this, let's console log dot slash. I'm going to do it via the node way right now. Okay, it printed this, correct? Now what happens if I add something to this? Let's try to add +1. So it should be what? 992, right? It should be 992, right? So will that be 992? Yes. Now just observe, add +2 to it. Okay. Now what should it be? 993, correct? 993, correct? It's still 992. Why? What is going wrong here? So what happens after this precision range is that it starts forgetting it. It says, hey, above this number, even if it's a number, I won't be able to represent it for you. I don't know what you are actually adding over there. So plus 91, 92, 93, 94 is all going to be the same. Okay, that is the maximum range it will go to. After that, it will start getting distorted, or it will start not being precise after this number in the number data type. That is where your BigInt data type comes into picture, right? So let's create a BigInt number. Const BigInt number is what I'm going to call it. And I'm just going to add 9. I'm just going to say 99, and I'm just going to keep holding on to it till I create a very large number. And now I created a very large number. Now let's try to print it out, guys. What am I doing in the console? What are you doing, Shrikant? Don't you know where to put the console statement? We just learned it in the previous lecture. Sorry. Sorry, Shrikant. I know you taught us. Yeah, sometimes even we make mistakes. So now let's try to print this BigInt number instead. Okay. Now you see it is a big number. Everything is present over here. Now you might be wondering what this n is at the end, right? So that is how you represent a BigInt number. When you want to represent something as a BigInt, you have to add that n at the end. Okay, that is what your BigInt number. That is how JavaScript knows that the number that you're providing is a BigInt number. Got it? Now, the last point about BigInt numbers. We know that in a number data type, we can represent 0.5, right? So I can say 29.5, and it's gonna actually give me 29.5. Agreed? Agreed? So it should give me 29.5, right? It's giving me 29.5. Can I do 0.5 here? No, you can't. Okay. Decimals are not allowed in BigInt. That's why it's called BigInt. It's not called big float. It's called a BigInt, right? So that is why it's called as a BigInt. No, decimals are not allowed. Now you might be wondering, what if I want to actually represent a decimal at this range? I will give you a small example right now. You have 10 rupees. You have to give 2.5 rupees to a person. In this range, 0.5 represents how much it represents? 5% of your total money, right? It represents 5% of the total money. So if you give versus 2 rupees versus 2.5 rupees, it will matter to you. Let me take it with a better example, perhaps, so that you understand. If you have 1,000 rupees, 250 rupees versus 200 rupees will matter. The 50 rupees will matter to you. Want it? Same way, to show the decimals I told you, out of 10 rupees, 2 rupees and 2.5 rupees will matter to you. But say you have 10 crore rupees in your account, will you worry about 50 rupees? Probably not, right? When you have 10 crore rupees in your account at your disposal, you won't be worrying about 50 rupees. 50 rupees becomes a small thing over there, right? Of course. So don't get me wrong, guys. Always value money. Money doesn't come easy to anybody. Okay? Money doesn't come easy. The point of what I'm saying is not that 50 rupees is something that you should be negligent to. Every rupee has to be earned, guys. Every rupee has to be earned the hard way. So my example doesn't mean that it doesn't value money. I just need you to understand that. Okay. So now what I was saying was that zero point 0.5 will matter to you at this point versus 0.5 will not matter when you have a such big amount of money coming over there. You get my point, right? When you have 1 crore, 2 crore, 10 crore, 20 crore, 1000 crore, it won't matter. Similarly, in BigInt as well, that zero point 0.5 won't matter. That is why there is no need of the zero point 0.5 precision at this point. Okay, correct? Now, before we proceed, I want to talk about the type of this. We learned about the type of operator in our last lecture, correct? So let's quickly try to use that. So what are the data types we have used currently? We have the BigInt. I'm also going to create the number over here. I'm just going to call it num is equal to 10. I'm also going to create a string name is equal to Srikant. Okay, name is equal to Sri. I'm also going to create is adult is equal to true. Now let's just print the type of all of these numbers quickly so that you get a quick refresher of how to print the type. So type of name, type of adult, type of begin. Now let's try to quickly print that out. So if I print this out, you see it is number, string, boolean, and begin. Got it? Cool. Now let's move to the symbol data type and what a symbol is. Symbol data type is probably one of those data types that you will very rarely use, just like BigInt, but it is again quite important. So symbol, when you create a symbol, it's always going to create a unique identifier for you. Every time you create a symbol data type, it's gonna create a new identifier for you. So how to create a symbol? Let's try to create a symbol data type. Symbol var, okay, ID. Now let's try to print it out. Console.log, not type of, we want to print the symbol var itself. Okay, let's try to print it out. Let's see what we're gonna get. You got this ID called as symbol ID. Now what if I create the same one again? Now let's try to copy this quickly and see and call it 1. Okay, and I'm gonna print this right now. I'm gonna print this again. So I'm lazy, I'm gonna copy paste it. What do you do? Right? So I copy pasted it right now and let's print it again. It's going to print the same thing. It looks like it's going to print the same thing, right? Let's compare. In JavaScript, to compare something, you use the equal to and equal to, three equal to operators. Okay. Don't worry about this. After the data types, the next lecture is going to be on operators anyway. So we will get in depth into operators. So you can check it out there. So now I'm going to print this. This both look the same. So the output of this should be true, right? The output of this should be true. Is our symbols equal? Okay, our symbols equal. And I'm going to print this side. Okay, so our symbols equal should be true, right? But it's false. Why? Why is it false? That itself is the property of symbol data type. Even if you create a same object once with the same name, it's always going to give you a unique ID under the hood, which is always going to be unique. That's why it's a symbol data type, which is a unique data type. Now, where it's going to be used, something like an ID, wherever you're using an ID instead of an object, we are going to get into the objects data types very soon. But this is used to represent a unique ID. That is where symbol data type is used. But ideally, we usually manually manage it. We don't do it. We usually use UUID, something called as UUID, to represent unique IDs. This is something that I personally haven't seen any project using, but you should know that it's present over there. Now, let's get to the next two important data types. Please listen to this very carefully. This is extremely important. Knowing the difference between these two is going to be very critical for you. The last two data types that we have are undefined and null. Okay, we have completed number, string, boolean, begin, and symbol, and we only have remaining undefined and null. So let's get to that. What is the meaning of undefined versus what is the meaning of null? So let's get back to the iPad. Now, a baby is born. Okay, a baby is born. Now, what is this baby's name the moment it's born? Okay, now, what is the name of the baby's name at the time it's born? There is no name, right? So the name at this point, can I say is undefined? Can I say is undefined? In JavaScript also, undefined is something that is not defined yet. So where does this come into picture and what is this used for? So if I get to this and if I just declare a variable called as let name, and I just leave it like this. Okay. I'm just going to say let name. Let's comment this out like we discussed before. Now, what is the value of this variable name? Let's quickly check that out. Let's run here. Name is undefined. It is not defined yet. If a variable is declared, but it's not defined yet, then the current value of that variable would be undefined. Got it? Okay. So can I then assign something to this right now? This is called as reassignment. We are using reassignment to name something to the variable. Okay. Name parameter. Let me just call it as. So the reason why it's saying name parameter is deprecated, there is an interesting reason behind that. I bet 99% of the front-end developers won't know why. I will explain you in one of the future lectures when we reach DOM. Okay, but it's a very interesting one. Keep watching these lectures. I'll explain this in one lecture. So now I reassigned it. Okay, now the type of it is what? String. Correct. Cool. Now again I'm gonna reassign, and I'm gonna say first name is now equal to undefined. Okay. Now again it is assigned to undefined. But Shrikant, a baby is born, a baby's name is given. Now you're again changing it to undefined. How is that possible? So the interesting thing is undefined can be assigned as a value even after a variable had a value. To clear it out, you can put it as undefined. Most people will tell you this is okay. I'm going to tell you that is this is absolutely not okay. This is not a pattern that you should use, and there are consequences to doing that. Undefined is a mental model that we create for ourselves, that undefined is something that is declared but is does not have a value yet. For example, you create the first name, but the first name then you fetch it from the backend. What is backend? So backend is nothing but where you store your data, which is the service side of things, where you're actually storing it. So it is another cloud service. You make an API call. There's something called as an API call. So guys, all these things I'm actually going to make videos on in the fundamentals of computer science playlist in this channel itself. Please go check it out or keep a tab of it. As I put videos, please check it out so that you'll understand in depth about these concepts. Now, the point to understand here is the name, I should get it from somewhere else and put it in here. I can't hard code it here. Okay. Now, between that time, what is the value going to be? Undefined. Now, should I actually assign undefined to it later? No, that is wrong. Assigning undefined to something manually is a very bad programming practice. The mental model is that if it is undefined, if you check for something, if it is undefined, it means the value hasn't arrived yet or the value isn't assigned yet. There is a period of time between when the variable was declared versus where the variable gets a value. Okay, that part is where the value is undefined. Okay, so you should not assign it manually. This is a very wrong practice. This is a very wrong practice. So then if I want to clear out the variable, what should I use? Coming to the next data type, that is going to be null. So null and undefined work the same way, but null is a manually assigned null value. That is like saying, hey, I have a box. Okay, I had things in it. I have my hand here. I have something kept on it. Now, initially, when I have my hand, this part is undefined. Now it is undefined. There is nothing kept in here. Now I have this speaker over here. I put it here. Now it has a value. The data type will be of this string or number or whatever it's going to be. Now I manually take it out and again make it empty. Now this should be null, not undefined. Got it? This should be represented as null. Now I'm representing this first name as null over here. Okay. Now let's check the type of both of these things. So console.log, okay, the type of first name is type of first name. What is going to be? Let's quickly check it out. Okay, let's quickly check it out. The type of the first name is null. Okay, the type of the first name is null. So name is not defined. That is because this should be first name over here. Okay, I changed it now. So it should be first name over here. Okay, so the type is the first name is undefined. Now I assigned a value. So let's again print it out over here. Now what's it going to be? Now it's going to have the value of Srikanth. Now I assigned null to it. Now what is the type of first name? Let's take the type of first name. So now the type is the value is null. It is saying it is intentionally empty. Undefined is value not assigned yet. Null is intentionally made empty. Okay. Now can I do first name is equal to null? You can, again a bad practice. JavaScript gives you a lot of flexibility to play around. Doesn't mean you have to actually do it. It's like people have a bike, KTM bike, they're doing wheelies on it by lifting the front tire. Can it be done? It can be. Should it be done? Absolutely not. Okay. So now you come here and now I'm going to say the type of first name. What's it going to be? Can you guess what's the type of first name? So this is considered to be a JavaScript bug, but this is going to be object. It's not actually an object. The type should have been null, just like the type of undefined was undefined. Okay. But there was a bug, and that bug has stayed through for JavaScript for a long time because people who have actually implemented it, if they suddenly go and change the type of it, they could face consequences. So it's like automatically it is somehow working in some projects, but if you actually go and change it right now, it can cause consequences, right? So just know this. Now I want to show you something called as nan. Okay. This is not a data type, but it is a type essentially. Okay. It is a result of doing exactly this. So if I just say console.log 2 divided by 3, like this. 2 is a string and divided by 3. What's it going to be? What's it going to be? It's going to be nan, not a number. So it's saying that I cannot cut 2 by 3 because 2 is a string. How can I cut it by 3? It's not going to give T, W, and O. That's not how it's going to work. It's going to say it's not a number. Now let's actually assign this to a variable. Okay, let's assign this to a variable. Const nan. I'm just gonna say nan var. This is a very bad naming practice, by the way, but it's fine for now. So I'm gonna print this nan var. Okay, it's gonna be the same, not a number. Now let's just print the type of nan var also. Okay, the type of nan var is gonna be number. The type of nan var is somehow going to be not number. So the value is not a number, but the type is actually number. So in JavaScript, there are funny things like this. Actually, these are bugs that have come from a long way. JavaScript has always been a backward compatible language. Backward compatibility is nothing but always working on top of what you have and not breaking what was there before. Like I gave you an example in one of my previous lectures. If you have 4 bedrooms right now and you're actually adding a library, so if you add a fifth bedroom, it's like actually having a backward compatibility. If I go and remove a bedroom and then make it a library, then whatever was there in that bedroom has to now go and has to be replaced or fixed, right? So that is why it is not backward compatible. That is called as not backward compatible. So similarly here as well, to ensure JavaScript is backward compatible. And why JavaScript has to be backward compatible? Because this JavaScript is one of the most used programming languages on the internet. It's probably in the top 3 programming languages on the internet right now. So that is why they cannot afford to just break it, because there might be millions and billions of people using it. So that is why it has stayed to be a number. Just go with it right now. If JavaScript ever changes it, then I will also make a video to update you guys with this knowledge. So I would like to mention that this JavaScript series is always going to be updated. If there is something that has drastically changed, I would have always added a video to this playlist. So you can always rely on this playlist as the source of truth. Okay. So we have covered all the data types. So the 7 data types that we have over here are number, string, boolean, undefined, null, BigInt, and symbol. These are the 7 primitive data types in JavaScript. In the next video, we are going to be quickly going through the objects, that is a non-primitive data types in JavaScript.